You know, as far as takedown videos go, I've had some good ones, I've had some bad ones, but this one's probably one of the worst. Some boy called LonerBox, who is a fellow Scot, allegedly. He did a takedown video of me. You know, so I haven't had a takedown video in quite a while. You know, it was a good sort of like throwback to, you know, the 2016 SJWs versus anti-SJWs making videos on each other. You know, it was the good video wars of times gone by. And a bunch of people were tweeting it at me saying that I should watch it. So I did. And then as soon as I seen it was a response to a video of mine from 3 years ago, I just closed it. I just closed it right away. As soon as I seen it was a response to a 3-year-old video, I went, don't care, boom, closed it, and I didn't. I just immediately stopped giving a shit. But then I had a bunch of people saying, you should address this, you should address this, he lies about you a lot, he misrepresents what you were talking about, and a lot of people are buying into his bullshit. And I thought, wow, a far lefty lying about me and other far lefties believing it? Say it ain't so. And even though he's clearly doing the classic technique of lying about a right wing or perceived right wing figure, economically right, socially left. If you lie about them enough, eventually they'll respond to you and you just get to farm all the clout and clicks, because it doesn't matter if you were completely disproven, they just want to hear Dank Man Bad over and over again. Who gives a shit about fucking evidence, right? So that's the technique they all do. It's what Vosh does, it's what a lot of them do. And so I went, right, fine, I'll actually watch the video and see when it came to me being lied about and misrepresented. Oh, good lord, that was an understatement. So yeah, here's a fast, lazy response video on the second channel because, you know, that's about as much as this tripe deserves.
In the early 2000s, the BNP, a party so racist that even other right-wingers would call them racist, hosted an annual event known as the Red, White and Blue Festival. The weekend-long gathering was branded as a family event, which party members described as a celebration of Indigenous British culture. I don't know what that means, and apparently they didn't either. One year, an undercover journalist captured groups of the attendees doing Sieg Heil salutes and setting fire to golly dolls. At the end of the evening, the group congregated in the main tent where they were candidly recorded, taking turns on the stage to tell racist jokes. On a completely unrelated note, let's talk about Count Dankula.
What are you talking about, Dankula? I know that this whole video is about your right-wing comedy, but me putting a bunch of stuff from the BNP at the start is unrelated. It has nothing to do with Dankula's comedy. Wink, wink. You know, and I said it was unrelated, so what are you talking about, man? If you're going to lie, at least be good at it.
Dankula? He's not right-wing. He supports trans rights, universal healthcare. He's pro-choice, anti-imperialist, and all those good things. Well, we'll get to that. But I should just say that I'm not really going for any kind of meticulous takedown here.
Oh, would you look at that? There's a clip from my Comedy Unleashed Christmas special. Now, LonerBox doesn't seem to realise it, but we're only a minute into this video, and he has already fucked his entire point. He's already fucked the whole point of this video. The point he was trying to make, we're only a minute in, and by using that clip, he's fucked it already and kind of proved that he is purposefully trying to be deceitful. But we can get into that later.
That said, Dankula's own behaviour around the trial was also a little strange to me. Why, for example, did this guy who was refusing to answer questions to journalists seem perfectly happy giving his story to the likes of Alex Jones and Tommy Robinson?
That's actually a very easily answered question, and one you would have gotten the answer to if you'd done 5 minutes of research. The reason that I spoke to Tommy and Alex is because they don't lie about me. They don't lie about me. They don't willfully tell lies to try and make me look bad. However, the mainstream media do that all the fucking time, which is why I don't speak to them. I wanted my story out there because I genuinely was terrified of getting sent to jail, you know, over making a joke. So who am I going to choose to speak to? The people that are going to be truthful about my story and offer me support, and which in turn will get me public support, or the people who are going to lie about me and therefore cost me public support? It's a no-brainer. Oh well, instead you could have spoken to some of your big left-wing supporters. Like who? Like who? There weren't any. At least none that were willing to put the work in, you know, anything more than a tweet. Right? There was no other big left-wing personalities that were coming out and willing to put boots on the ground to actively try and help me. I still appreciate the tweets I got. I really do. I still really appreciate the tweets, but you know, that wouldn't have been enough to not get me sent to prison. So I had to use the options that were available to me. So I did. I'm not going to go and talk to reporters that will lie about me. You know, I'm not going to talk to or interact with people who are going to lie about what I am really like and about what my opinions really are or what my goals really are. I'm not going to talk to people who make YouTube videos like this.
And just because I feel like it's obligatory to clarify this in a video about Count Dankula, no, I don't think you should be arrested for telling jokes. That's very bad. I like free speech.
That's the one good take this video has. The rest of it is just all downhill from here.
As some of you might have noticed, the protagonist in the clip is black, and in the video he occasionally highlights the whiteness of the people in the portraits.
That's just a complete lie. LonerBox, he doesn't highlight it. He just merely highlighted it. He uses it to address them in a derogatory way, right? That's like if I walk into a shop and I call the guy a packy bastard, right? That would you turn around and go like that? He was just calling him a bastard. He only said packy to highlight. No, you fucking wouldn't, right? He uses it to address them in a derogatory way, like he hates them for being white, or he has a problem with the fact that they're white. I mean, last I checked, doing that to someone was racist, but I mean, that doesn't support LonerBox's narrative here, so he's downplaying it. He's downplaying it. It doesn't support his narrative, so he's downplaying the actual genuine racism that this guy showed, and that was my point of the whole video. I wanted to go after this guy's racism. So LonerBox is going, well, it wasn't really racist. It was just highlighting, right? Anyone with half a brain, like LonerBox even plays the clips of him doing it. Anyone with half a brain can watch these clips and see that the guy was being racist, right? You know, people have eyes and ears and can see for themselves, LonerBox, right? Everyone can watch these clips and see that you're lying.
A coat framed with gold surrounding white skin wrapped around your body, fat and muscles and bones like a magic cloak. White, powerful, rich, dead, random, white dude. Ghost breath stuffing my lungs, the endless gazes of dead, random, white dudes.
I mean, does that sound like he's just highlighting it? Like he's just highlighting the whiteness? It's not. It sounds like he's not happy. He's certainly very unhappy about their whiteness. It certainly is. I mean, see if race like wasn't an issue or wasn't, you know, at the forefront of this guy's mind, then why is he mentioning it? Why is he mentioning white with disdain whenever he's talking about these people? I mean, why does he then mention it 4 times, like you said? If he doesn't have a problem with these guys being white, then why does he mention it 4 times in the way that he did? But I mean, if you think that that's not racist and that's an okay thing to do, then that's fine. I'll use it in future. I'll use it to highlight whether or not someone is black. I mean, if I say these exact same things about a black person, then according to LonerBox, that's not racist, and he won't get mad about it. You heard him. Speaking about race in that way, the same way the guy did in the video, is not racist. So you can all do it. You can now all do it in that exact same way, and LonerBox is not going to call you racist. He thinks it's perfectly fine.
And the internet lost their shit. The like-dislike ratio was nuked, and the comment section filled with more racial slurs than a 1970s football match, until the video was eventually pulled off YouTube. So naturally, Dankula made a response video where he complains about state-funded anti-white racism. Obviously.
In my original video, because the guy that was the subject of the video was complaining that all the portraits were of white people, I made the argument that the reason that all the portraits were of white people is because of rich white people, is because back then in Scotland, pretty much I was go as far as to say that 100% of the elite were white, and only the elite could afford to have portraits done, right? And LonerBox tries to sort of explain this point away by introducing all these exceptions to the rule artists.
But maybe I should defend the artist's position here, because what he's doing, challenging the focus of classical portraiture on the people who could afford it, is a critique of art that has existed for hundreds of years. For example, the 18th century painter, William Hogarth, famously stood against the exclusive bourgeois standards of art and instead painted scenes from gin shops, brothels, the story of an apprentice who ditches his work for a life of crime. You know, the good stuff. Art that fucks. The most famous paintings he did do of the upper classes were from a series showing a family falling into ruin, murder, and suicide after one of them chose to marry for money instead of love. It's a position in art that even made its way into Scottish culture. There was David Wilkie, who would have made a fortune painting rich people, but instead chose to paint scenes or portraits of ordinary people in their homes, often depicting harsh truths like this one, which shows a family having goods seized from their home for failing to pay their rent. The stylistic choices of people like Hogarth and Wilkie ultimately set Scottish and English art apart from most of Europe. At the same time, French artists were still very much in the whole painting rich girls on swings, let them eat cake era.
Yes, I completely understand that artists painted other things. I mean, personally, I prefer art that tells a story over portraits, even though portraits do still have a very important purpose in letting us know what key historical figures actually looked like in the age before cameras. I mean, I get that. I agree with you. I agree with you that art that tells a story is much better than portraits. But there is just one teensy tiny little problem as to why they were not featured in this gallery. Because it's a portrait gallery. A gallery of portraits. And the only people who could afford portraits were rich white dudes.
So the artist Dankula is talking about is holding an anti-elitist position which is part of Scottish culture.
I don't have an issue with that at all. In fact, I support it. I am far from a fan of the elite, but I don't think that that was the only reason that he didn't like them. I mean, he attacked them for their wealth and status, which, you know, are cornerstones of the elite, and fine, whatever, go nuts with that, you do whatever the hell you want. But he also went after them for being white. He mentioned their race, he brought up the whiteness, and he brought it up in a derogatory way, sort of suggesting that being white and being elite are somehow linked, you know? It's very name them.
And it's understandable he would do that, because the artist himself is Scottish. He was born in Edinburgh. Though I can see why Dankula would have missed that, because at the beginning of his video, he names the wrong person. The name of the artist in the video is Caius Bankole. The man Dankula mentions is the other black guy in the band.
There's actually a very good explanation for that. See, when I was researching this video, the name I used says he was the creator of the video and also the narrator. So I thought that he also was the guy in the video. I mean, after that I went, was that not the same guy? And I looked into it and it really wasn't. And I find it kind of weird because the subject of the video was supposed to be, I believed, an inner monologue of the guy in the video. But it was narrated by someone else, a completely different guy, which I find that kind of weird. I thought the guy in the video would be narrating his own thoughts. So it was just a case of confusion. I thought it said video created by, fucking crazy name, and narrated by, so I thought he was the same guy in the video. So that was all it was, just a little bit of clerical confusion. Oh well, sorry, it wasn't clerical confusion. I must just be racist.
But the point Dankula really tries to hammer home here is that the artist is bothered about how none of the portraits look like him. And that's dumb, because these portraits were painted in a time when Scotland was 99.9% white. You can tell Dankula is quite excited about this point because he keeps on repeating it, again and again.
I didn't keep repeating it because I was excited. I kept repeating it because the guy in this video kept making that argument again and again. So I had to keep repeating my rebuttal again and again. I mean, you even play the clips of it in your video showing that that is what I was doing, but you know, let's not let the truth get in the way of the point that you're trying to lie about.
So Dankula is treating this point like it's the final nail in the coffin. And when I first watched it, I just wondered, did he forget that Scotland's wealth was built on the backs of slaves?
Nope, I did not, but I wasn't around then, so nothing to do with me. My family raised sheep and stole the occasional cow and got caught for stealing the occasional cow. A lot of people in my family tree are hanging from it. But here's the thing, LonerBox. I did not at any point in my video go after him for attacking slavery. Never. Never at any point, and I knew that that is what he was talking about. But I never attacked him for that. What I attacked him for was his racist comments. That's what I attacked him for. Why would I go after him for his thoughts and comments on slavery? Right? You want to go after a person's atrocious actions, you can absolutely do that. I don't disagree with that, and slavery certainly fucking counts as an atrocious action. I mean, you want to attack slavery, you go ahead and go with that. Like, if that's what he wanted to do, that's what he wanted to do. I agree with that. Slavery is something you should be mad about, which is why I didn't attack him for that. I mean, what I was judging him for was not his thoughts on slavery, but the racist comments that he made, which was the entire point of the video. I went after him for his racist comments. I didn't mention his comments on slavery because I actually kind of agreed with them. I don't get it, man. Like, you're about to go down. I mean, I've already done one rough watch of this video. You're about to go down this whole route about slavery as if I'm ignoring it and that I don't care about it, and he never once mentions it. And it's like, because I didn't care about his comments on slavery. I cared about his own racist comments that he made to these people. You want to fucking hate a guy for being a slaver? Go nuts. Fine. I agree with that. You want to kind of use the fact that a guy was white to hate him, then, you know, you're being a bit racist. I mean, isn't the whole thing that you guys are about supposed to be, you know, judging people by their actions and not their race? Well, your boy here was doing both. LonerBox is about to go on like this big massive rant about slavery and the slave trade, but I'm just going to skip over this part because I wasn't talking about slavery. I didn't bring it up because it had nothing to do with my arguments, and it was basically completely irrelevant to every single point that I made. So we're just gonna skip right over it. Last but not least, Robbie Burns, the Bard of Ayrshire. You're actually going to try and talk shit about Robbie Burns?
Shall we talk about Burns? The Bard of Ayrshire, fierce egalitarian and abolitionist. His poem, A Man's a Man for A' That, was even popularised in America by Frederick Douglass during the Civil War. But before he found success with his poetry, Burns found himself in a financial hole and accepted an offer to work as a bookkeeper on his friend's plantation in Jamaica. A benign-sounding job, but in those days, bookkeeping involved things like assisting in purchases and sales of slaves, as well as recording punishments and deaths.
Are you trying to tell me that there are people from history who may have done great things, but they have also done bad things? Are you joking? What a shocking revelation then. That means that all of the things that they have ever done, straight in the bin. Straight in the bin, we can't have them. We're not allowed them. Albert Einstein, with his theory of relativity, well, he was really mean to his wives. He was a piece of shit to his wives, so the theory of relativity, straight back in the bin. Let's set physics back by a few decades. He was an arsehole, so just straight in the bin. Now, everything positive that he did, nope. In the bin. Bin it. He's about to chat about more slavery here, and I'm just going to skip past it because it's not what I was talking about. I think LonerBox just couldn't get enough content out of what I really meant with the video, so he had to, how do I put this? Lie? he had to lie here in the video. He just had to basically completely misrepresent my arguments into something that I was not talking about. I wasn't talking about slavery. I wasn't ignoring slavery. I didn't bring it up because it had nothing to do with what I was talking about. What I was attacking was this guy using white in a derogatory fashion, and obviously having a bit of a problem with these people because they were white, and also equating whiteness with other unsavoury things, even though, you know, that itself, that's very fucking racist. I mean, fuck's sake. Shit on slavery all you want. It deserves it, right? Just the same as racist comments deserve to be shit on. Which is what I was doing in my video, but LonerBox seems to have a problem with that.
In all fairness, I know Dankula's video was just intended as a kind of piss-take reaction. It was probably thrown together quite quickly, and he does look kind of stoned in the video, or whatever.
How dare you? How dare you? I do not partake in the devil's cabbage. I absolutely do not. Drugs are for mugs, and I have not done drugs. Today. Yet.
But in a really weird way, I think Dankula has produced an accidental masterpiece here. By confusing a black guy with the other black guy standing next to him.
I've already explained why that was. It was just the way that the article was written. It made it look like he was, in fact, the guy. And you can see what LonerBox is trying to do here. He's trying to make it look like I have the stereotype of all black people look the same, when that's not even the correct stereotype, right? The stereotype is that all Asians look the same, right? Not black people. If you're going to make a video, if you're going to make lots of content, you know, attacking racism, at least get the stereotypes right, LonerBox.
And as a consequence, this video is the perfect image of someone whose brain just went into tunnel vision because he saw the opportunity to call a black person racist.
Tunnel vision, LonerBox. I mean, you made a video about me that started with some BNP stuff, but oh, don't worry, that had absolutely nothing to do with the point you were trying to make. Wink, wink. And then you ignore the arguments I was actually making and substituted it with all this slavery stuff when that's not what I was fucking talking about. And then you completely downplayed the thing that I was actually arguing. No, the thing that I made the video for. The actual thing I was arguing against in the video, you completely ignored it. See the primary main subject of my video? You completely ignored it and then just completely substituted in your own reality on a 3-year-old video of mine, right? I mean, you want to talk about fucking tunnel vision, man. Jesus, were you just desperate to make a video on me? But there was nothing recent that was any good, so you had to go back 3 years? And like, it wasn't even a good takedown. I just went, this guy made racist comments. And then you went, no he didn't, what about slavery? it's like, what the fuck did that have to do with anything I was talking about, man? Oh, I don't know, maybe this is the worst takedown video of me. Maybe it is. Maybe. It's like, Peanut's done a few, and they've been absolutely atrocious, but that's because Peanut has a fucking 10-digit IQ. Peanut's just stupid, right? Peanut at least has the excuse that he's just extremely stupid, right? You, however, I can't tell if it's stupidity or just deceit, just malevolence. I can't tell. Although I think I've actually got a pretty good idea what it might be.
And by doing that, he basically validates the point being made by the artist. By trying to hammer home the fact that Scotland was 99.9% white and black people were therefore not part of it, Dankula is doing exactly what the video was made in response to. He's proving the artist right.
So hold on. You basically made up an argument that I wasn't making. You throw in a bunch of other dumb shit and lies to bolster that lie, and then you say, oh well, I proved the artist right. No I didn't, because I wasn't actually having a go at him for the point he was trying to make with his video. I didn't actually have a go at that, I had a go at him for the racist comments that he made. That was the point of the entire video. not about slavery, not about any of that shit. You know, as much as you really want people to believe that that is why the video was made, and you're lying really fucking hard to make it seem like that's the point. I mean, no. No, man. I mean, I still, you know, we're at the point where I can't tell if this is just a gross misinterpretation of the video through stupidity or just willful deceit.
And this is a good story if you think white people are the subjects of an Orwellian nightmare, whilst racist black people are being funded by cultural Marxist governments to push anti-white propaganda. It's a great story if you're on the far right.
Yeah, that's nice and all, you know, good theory and all that, but that's not at all what I said. I mean, if anybody watching this would like to go back and watch that video, it's still on my channel, all the way back in 2017, and you will be able to see that I never said anything like that. That's just a little theory that LonerBox has thrown in there. I mean, and he's really trying his hardest to make sure everybody believes that theory, because, you know, that's what he wants people to believe, but it's simply not true. Simply not true at all. You know, go back and watch the video. You see that I never said anything like that. This is just LonerBox lying again. Liarbox. There we go. There's a good one. Peanut gets called Peanut. LonerBox is Liarbox. Because I think I'm struggling to find any truth here, man. I'm struggling to find any truth, you know? Not a good look.
Because political comedy and satire works best if it clicks with your worldview. That's why liberals enjoy Jon Stewart and Nish Kumar, whilst right-wingers enjoy, well, this.
I am here, too.
Yes, you are. Who the fuck let you in? LonerBox, that just seems to be you projecting your own tastes in comedy on everyone. I mean, that's not really true. I really like Jon Stewart and a lot of I don't like Nish Kumar, I think he's a fucking dickhead. But I mean, the comedians who I actually enjoy and who inspire a lot of my shit are people like Bill Hicks, George Carlin, and those two, you definitely cannot call them right-wing. I mean, it seems to be your own tastes, right? I mean, a lot of people like listen to a very wide variety of comedians. All the people I know listen to comedians on like all sides of the spectrum, even though they are massively left-wing, but there's a few right-wing ones in there. You just don't see them on TV much. Wonder why that is. But, I mean, it seems to be that this is how you enjoy comedy, and you're thinking that everybody does the same thing. I'm left-wing, so I only listen to left-wing comedians. I mean, LonerBox, in my experience, I think that's just you, right? I mean, in my experience, okay, whatever, it's anecdotal, but out of everybody I've spoken to on the left and the right, they listen to all types of comedians. So, yeah, I think you're full of shit.
So the point I'm making is that whether or not Dankula is genuinely right-wing himself doesn't really matter. What matters is what kind of audience this content is going to resonate the most with. And if you're the kind of person who is hyper-defensive over a whitewashed traditionalist view of history, and you feel like that history is being shat on by a racist black man at the behest of PC cultural institutions and secret Jewish warriors, this is the comedy for you.
Make a note of this. Make a note of this little point that he just made. He's trying to do that usual hashed out argument of my type of comedy empowers and resonates with the far right, and that's the like that. This is the message that LonerBox wants you to believe. This is the point of his video. Dankula bad. His bad comedy influences the bad far right. Like that's the stuff that people say all the time, right? Now hold on to this. Keep this statement in mind. We're going to arrive back at this soon.
And it isn't a good look for Marcus, who couldn't even get the guy's name right and basically spent his whole video addressing him like an outsider.
I already explained what happened with the name, and I didn't address him like an outsider. I addressed him like an idiot.
And in case I haven't mentioned it already, the band behind the video, Young Fathers, are Scottish, at least in the non-ethno-state sense of the word. 2 of them were born in Scotland, and the other has been here since he was 4. Their music is featured on the soundtrack of Trainspotting 2, and the director Danny Boyle described their song as the heartbeat of the film. They're in the soundtrack for FIFA 19. They've won Scottish Album of the Year. Twice. Maybe stop shitting on Scottish culture, Marcus.
Ah yes, Scottish culture. rapping hip-hop with grindy beats. Invented by Clan McGregor in 1472, I believe. I bet you were really, really proud of that little punchline at the end there, weren't you? I mean, I wrote a haiku today, and then I made a katana folded 10,000 times, and then I made sushi. And because it was made here in Scotland, it's now Scottish, right? Sushi is now Scottish because I made it here. It's not Japanese. Sushi is now 100% Scottish because I made it here. I mean, right. See, if Young Fathers were a Cayley band, you might have had a point, right? But unfortunately, you don't. Okay, so that's the end of the video, so let's just read some notes I've made here in a wee summary. Right, so you started with some BNP stuff that was not related to me, wink wink. You clearly did that to chum the water and build the foundation of the lie that you were about to tell. You completely ignored the arguments that I was actually making, and then you downplayed the blatant racism that I was arguing against. You then tried to make it look like I was ignoring and downplaying Scotland's history of slavery when I just simply didn't mention it because it was not the point I was arguing against, and it makes no sense to bring up irrelevant shit that is not involved in the point you were arguing against, which was the guy's own racism. And then also the classic of saying my comedy appeals to the far right. But LonerBox made a big mistake. He made a very, very big mistake that proved that he was being deceitful, and he did it only a minute into the video. Remember earlier when I pointed out that he used my clip from my Christmas special for Comedy Unleashed? Right, now, why did he do this? Why did he do this? You know, was it for clout with his left-wing peers? Was it clicks, views? Maybe I fucked his bitch once. Who fucking knows? But the key point here is the point of this video. What LonerBox was trying to do was the old hashed out argument that my comedy empowers and emboldens and resonates with the far right. That's the BNP bit at the start and the blah blah blah, all that stuff. That's the point that he was trying to do, and that's the point that he tried to make. But he used clips of my Comedy Unleashed Christmas special, which means that he watched it, where he would have seen me making jokes like this.
But yeah, like that's even like actual literal fascists getting provided with a platform. Like, let them. I don't care. Like, I'm not worried about that. I mean, picture we were having an actual election with an actual genuine, unironic fascist candidate, and they went up on TV and said, if elected, I'm going to get rid of all minorities, all homosexuals, all of the physically disabled, but not the mentally disabled. They are our target demographic. And I am going to pass so many laws that give me absolute control over every single teensy little part of your life, and if you break any of these laws, I'll probably kill you. Vote for me, 2020. Who the fuck is sitting at home going like that? Well, sign me the fuck up. Man, long have I hated my existence and yearned for the sweet embrace of death, right? That's why I am not worried, because most people aren't that stupid. Most. But I'm a very strong believer in that sunlight is the best disinfectant. I feel that horrible ideas should be out there in public for us to see, to laugh at, to mock and to ridicule. I mean, do I need to remind any of you of when the, at the time, leader of the BNP, Nick Griffin, appeared on BBC Question Time? I mean, if you haven't seen the video, I highly advise you go watch it. You can actually find it on Pornhub because that's where you go when you want to watch a video with someone getting fucked.
And also, let's not forget the important part where, at the very end of my special, I told a Jew in the front row that I really hoped he won his election against a known anti-Semite.
One thing I do want to say before I go, see, when I realised that a Jew was running against Jeremy Corbyn, I got a bit of a semi. Holy shit, I hope you fucking win.
Yes, LonerBox, I can see how the far right would enjoy such things. I can see how jokes such as that would resonate and empower the far... No, I can't. No, I cannot see how jokes such as that would resonate and empower and embolden the far right. You are full of shit, LonerBox. There's a few explanations for what happened here. Either LonerBox just watched the first little bit of my Comedy Unleashed thing, but, you know, considering this video is supposed to be about my comedy, I would have assumed that he would have watched my comedy, but maybe he just used that clip from the start and put it in the video, which suggests that he didn't actually do any research at all, which means we can kind of disregard this video because it's poorly researched. Or he watched the video of my actual proper stand-up, my comedy. That's where the stand-up is what I do, like most of my stand-up's constant jokes, right? My other videos are sort of truths laden with jokes, but my stand-up is just constant jokes, so you would think he would watch all of my stand-up, right? So the fact that he probably, he did, right, fuck it, I'm going to drop the act. He did watch that video, right, and he's seen me making those jokes, decided not to include them in the video because they disproved the lie he wanted to tell. He only wanted to cherry pick the stuff that bolstered the lie that he wanted to tell people. That is what he did. He was purposefully being deceitful, and the fact that he used the clip from that video a minute in, I mean, I didn't even have to make this full response. All I had to do was show that he used the clip from that video just a minute into his own and then showed those jokes from it. And there you go, the whole, his comedy appeals to the far right, but poof, dead in the water right away. I could have made like a fucking 2-minute response video to this, but I decided to do the nice thing and respond to as much as the stuff that needed responding to. Right, so the fact that LonerBox obviously seen my Christmas special, seen me making those jokes, and still decided to make that whole video on a 3-year-old video trying to paint the image or his comedy resonates with the far right, it just proves that he was just purposefully being deceitful and trying to damage me and trying to damage my comedy. I mean, LonerBox, I'm sorry. I've got a lot of experience in dealing with people who lie about me all the time. Get good, scrub. Better luck next time, you know? I know, maybe there's a video from 4 years ago that you can lie about.